Hello, welcome to our History 101 video. This video will analyze serfdom during the Middle Ages in Europe, from its beginning, key components, and its impact. Serfdom was the condition of peasants forced to work on a plot of land for a landlord during the medieval period in Europe. Lords owned the serfs who lived on their lands. They provided a place to live and protection against outside invasion and wars. Serfs, in return, worked the land to grow crops for themselves and their lords.
Wait a minute. Does it not look like slavery?
Well, no. Actually, serfdom was different from slavery. Serfs had a counterpart for their work. They could grow crops for themselves but also be protected, while slaves were bought and sold to work against their will, without any counterpart. Serfdom happened when feudalism was practiced in Europe. Do you know what feudalism is?
Yes, feudalism flourished between the 9th and the 15th century in Europe. It was a way of structuring society around a relationship derived from the holding of land in exchange for services, labor, or rent, or all of them. It contributed largely to holding together all the laws and regulations of serfdom. In 1649, for example, a code law in Russia made serfdom hereditary. Being a serf now meant that your children, grandchildren, great-great-grandchildren would also be serfs. Feudalism made it possible the inequality of right between people. For example, someone in the nobility would be exempt of paying taxes just because he was just in the nobility. No logical sense. This inequality will be one of the reasons that triggered the French Revolution later.
So, why did serfdom matter? Serfs were legally tied to the landlords in a variety of ways. They could be private serfs, which meant having an individual as a landlord, or a state serf, which meant having state representative as a lord. Private serfs had less freedom than state serfs and were more exposed to physical abuse like beating, rape, harder conditions of work, etc. So if you ever time travel back to the Middle Ages, make sure you're a state serf.
Going back to feudalism, serfs were prohibited from migrating, getting married, and engaging in market exchanges and type of consumption without permission from their landlords.
However, serfs were not seen as a property to their landlords the way slaves were, in the sense that they had more freedom than slaves. They even paid taxes. Fun fact, some serfs even asked their lords to make them slaves so that they will not pay taxes. Some people from the lower classes in Russia, however, willingly volunteered to be serfs in exchange for food because of the poverty faced at the time. Serfdom started in Russia because they wanted cheap labor. Those who found themselves serfs were undermined and treated as inferior people in the society.
What about the economic effect of serfdom?
Serfdom largely affected the economic growth of Europe. The difference in timing of the abolition of serfdom is an important reason for the divergence of development across the European continent. It restricted access to products in the markets, preventing allocation of resources to the highest productivity uses, and creating poor incentives for investment in human capital, land improvements, and technological innovations. A recent paper written by Markovich and Zurevskaya in 2015 confirms that Russia and Europe in general would have been about twice as rich by 1913 compared to what it actually was, had it abolished serfdom earlier. So, when did serfdom end? Serfdom largely disappeared in Western Europe by the early modern period, while persisting in Eastern Europe, particularly in the Russian Empire till the 19th century. In Finland, Norway, and Sweden, feudalism was never fully established, and serfdom did not exist. However, similar institutions like serfdom did exist in both Denmark and its vassal Iceland.